Oh, we're good to go.
All right, so once again, welcome everyone to this evening's edition of Things About Trading That No One Told Me. So last week, um, I was on sharing my experience about trading, how I got into trading, and so many things that no one told me that I struggled with originally. And earlier today, I think around 12, I met with one of the members of the fostering class, one of the fostering classes, I think, one of the batches last year. And we are just going over some things, and it just brought to mind so many of the things we always talk about. Last week we mentioned the fact that the work-life balance, no one talks about the fact that there is no cap that fits all. Our temperaments are all different, and that had the long way to go to impact our trading. One thing I had to mention in this afternoon was something I actually skipped last week, and that was the volume of strategies that we are going to be swamped with. So when you come into the trading industry, they are swamped with a lot of strategies, so many things, and they are shifted knowledge. Everybody just feels you need to go and acquire this ton of knowledge for you to be successful and all that. So this evening we are going to be having with us the primo, the numero uno commando of SimplyPips, a former bank manager of in fact one of the biggest banks in Nigeria. He resigned to pick up trading full time. And you know what it means to resign from, I'm not talking one of these quick banks, I'm talking of one of the biggest five banks in Nigeria, one of the five biggest banks in Nigeria. He was a full branch manager doing so well and left the job to take up trading full time. So I have with me this evening Mr. Femi Raji. Please, can you introduce yourself briefly to those who might not know who you are? I'm sure many of them just know Bishop Raj, but who exactly is Bishop Raj? Mr.
Oh,
Raj, over
thank you
to you.
so much. Thank you so much, Prof. My name is Femi Raji. I'm popularly known as Bishop Raj on all the interwebs. And of course, I'm a husband of one wife, have three children. I
I like that.
um, I am a chemical engineer by training. Um, I have a second degree, even to the point of being um, I won't call it a first class. Do they have first class in masters now? But I came out at that level, at the master's level for chemical engineering. I'm presently also pursuing um, the PhD in that line, just to fulfill all righteousness. Um, I actually had my very first entrepreneurial experience in 1999, and later on in 2001, had another uh, business, an opportunity to start a business. Didn't really go well, but it was an opportunity at a very, very young age. I came into the banking industry and spent over a little over 10 years. My career was very, very fast. I remember when I became a branch manager and I had to post in a forum where other employees who came in the same year with me were in. I posted, and my job card read business manager. They were all like joking. They knew I could be funny sometimes, so they thought I was just picking a fast one on them. But I told them it was true. As at the time I left, I still had three persons who practically came in the same year with me, who were like by far my subordinates. So growing in the banking industry was very, very fast. I was favored, meeting my targets, crushing them, and I'm moving on. But turning point came when I was posted to a branch, and the branch wasn't making profits. It was loss making. And I was told I was going to, if the branch didn't turn a new leaf and started making profit in another 9 to 10 months, they were going to close down the branch, and that meant I was going to lose my job. I felt that was unfair because I had practically worked in like 3 branches before then, and they all did well. So why would you bring me to a dying branch, and I wasn't the one who started it, and saddle me with the opportunity of reviving it, or I get to lose my job? As at December of that year, I wasn't too sure what was going to happen because the results usually pop up in January. By January, they were distributing the budgets for the next year, or rather for that year, and my branch had no budget. So I was already thinking the worst. But then the results came out and we scaled through and made profits. I got promoted for that feat, but since then I lost my peace. It was like you could lose this job at any point in time. What skill are you acquiring as a banker? I have met several persons who walked into the branch, and they will let me know that they were once bankers, and in fact, they once sat on the seat I was sitting now. When I look at them, I see nothing to write home about, besides the fact that they live in a big house that they built when they were bankers, and maybe they have cars they rarely can manage now, and that's all. You practically have no skill that is transferable, skill that, you can't leave banking and go start up another bank. It's practically, I won't say impossible, it's very, very difficult, except if you're at the high level. And I wasn't there, I was just mid-level management staff. So I really desired to do something with myself. I wanted to create generational wealth, things that could pass on to my children. I'm a Christian, and a passage of the Bible says, a good man, a righteous man, will leave inheritance for his children's children, not just his children, but his children's children. And I was wondering how banking was going to help me do that. It was obvious it was going to be a tough call to do that. So I started up some businesses, and then decided to take the plunge, the leap, go try, see how you could build a business for yourself, and hopefully you will hit gold and be able to create generational wealth. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I practically have no family member that could be of help, or any senior friend somewhere I could call up to and say, give me so amount of money, But I took the leap of faith after careful considerations and prayers, and then I practically stepped out. Trading, I knew about trading before I left the bank, but it wasn't part of my plan at all. If anything, it was going to be one of my, plan F, if there's anything like that. I had plan A to C, and Forex wasn't part of them at all. And but as I had more time, having left paid employment, I ventured into Forex a little bit deeper, and gradually, it climbed up the ladder of the scale of preference and displaced the other ones to become plan A. In my earlier times of trading, I actually learned, had a mentor who was a scalper, and he does it using what we call grid trading. He uses the currency strength analysis to trade CSA, 5 steps. I mastered that type of trading. I wouldn't say master, but I got familiar with that type of trading. And at some point in my trading, and that was within the first year or thereabout, I got to a point I was bagging like $1,000 every week. And, it meant a lot to me because that was a little lower than what I was going to go home with every month, working, morning to evening, and now I was doing it in about a week. It was an interesting time, and that opened up the opportunity of creating generational wealth. So, Prof, that's a bit about myself. Except you have any direct question to ask.
Wow. So let me ask first. Why was Forex like Plan F? I would have thought for someone who was in the banking industry, Forex should have been around, even if not Plan A, maybe Plan B or Plan C. Why was it so far up on your order list?
Okay, while I was in the bank, of course, I knew that the richest we used to. I don't know how true it was, but amongst the bankers, when we joke, especially in my bank, we see the richest banker in my bank happened to be the head of foreign operations, not even the MD. We also knew that people on the same cadre with us and much more higher than we do, even though in the scale of things, we all bear the same name, senior banking officers, managers, and the like, they earn higher. So it was like something was very unique about the foreign operations decks. I felt I would need big amount of money to be able to be profitable. I didn't think it was something anybody could just easily do and become, something you could live for, or something that you could actually live on. Yeah, that's the correct phrasal verb.
Okay.
Something that you
So
can
with
live on.
low capital.
Yeah, with low capital, and I knew it had some level of risk, and I wasn't willing to risk my life savings. That meant I had to go back begging to be employed again. So I knew there are opportunities there, but I felt, okay, let me sort out some other areas first, then I'll come back to it.
Okay. So from what you're saying now, will you advise someone who is maybe someone just wants to leave their job now and get into trading? What would be like your advice to the person?
Well, you have to, that would be a wrong step to take presently for me. You need to establish that you're consistent before you leave anything you're doing to go into trading. Once trading becomes your major source of livelihood, a different kind of psychology is needed to become profitable. Even if you've been disciplined ab initio, while you had a major source of income aside trading, once trading becomes your major source of income, it puts untold pressure on your psychology. And very few people can handle that pressure, at least at the first instance. In fact, at the 100th instance, very few people can handle that pressure. The fact that you put on a trade, and when I came into trading for the first time, I had savings from the bank, right? So, and I mentioned that I was at the point I was netting 1K per week. I won't mention what the account balance was, but I could also lose 2K in a week and not bait an eyelid. Why? It's also going to affect what I was going to eat the next day. I mean, it was just one of those things. I will still eat what I want to eat. But if trading is what you do for a living and you lose 1K a week, you go and tweak your strategy. And that's the beginning of the downward spiral. That'll be the beginning of the whole trouble, So yes, that's it for me. Nobody should leave what they want to do doing now to go trade.
That is so true. Someone I was speaking with someone recently. The guy had been profitable trading demo accounts. In fact, one of the first students, one of the guys I was really looking forward to, seeing his exploits and everything. He had doing so well, but the guy got into the challenge, went into the challenge, and somehow he wasn't really getting the results he wanted to get in the first. He felt he needed more trades and all those things. So he decided to leave the strategy that were working for him and moved into something else. And before he knew what was happening, said in about 2 weeks, he lost the entire challenge. And this was someone that is so profitable. So, when you move from just trading a demo or just trading for yourself, and then there's the added pressure of maybe something like a challenge, or you now have to trade full time for a living. Like you mentioned, it's a different ball game altogether. It has a different mental pressure that it starts. Now, the next question I want to put to you is, you started with CSA 5 step. I believe that was the very first strategy that you learned. What would you say has been your journey so far in terms of strategies, and what has the whole experience been like? Because I know when I got into the industry, I started with um, an indicator-based strategy, specialistic an indicator-based trade up to now. And but at the point I got into all the whole ICT, BTMM madness, all the craze and all the hype. And as I always tell people, I said after that I had the worst 2 months of my trading career. So what was it like? How were you able? How has been your growth in the industry?
All right. So for me, CSA wasn't really the first. CSA was the first profitable strategy. I'd learned some other strategies that told me that when my RSI was overbought, I should buy, or oversold, I should buy, and I bought, and the RSI remained oversold. Then I went to stochastics. Okay, stochastics is better than RSI. Now you have two lines. So when it's overbought, you wait for them to cross. And right in front of me, stochastics will cross, and I will buy, and it will uncross. So it was terrible at first using all of those strategies. I would say they don't work, but they work. I tried several. There is one we call, I've forgotten the name now, bounce back. It was like 5 Bollinger Bands together with parabolic SAR, 3 moving averages, stochastics, RSI, and CCI, something like that. It was like a Christmas tree when you see the colors. It still didn't work. But then CSA came along, and I became profitable with that. But then I joined an organization, and the one very popular trader is not of Nigerian descent, so we respect him so much. He's a very popular trader. He introduced a concept, and I was very unfortunate to have attended that webinar. If I had known, I would have just talked to what works for me. Wow. I was unfortunate to have attended the webinar, and everything he said made sense. But after that webinar, I was unable to remain consistent. I couldn't see the market the way I used to see it before again. So whenever I look at the market, where I would have normally seen a buy, I'll begin to see a sell. Just because of that extra knowledge, I just learned something new, and it changed the way I saw the market. Prior to that time, I never knew that buyers and sellers could be wrong. But after that experience, I knew that you could buy and sell at the same point and still be wrong. You could buy and sell at the same point and you still be right, depending on so many things. So I started looking for the Holy Grail. I met a friend who sounded so intelligent and told me about institutional trading and brought about ICT. The terms were so enticing: fair value gaps, rates on liquidity, runs on liquidity, price draws, so several sweet terms. And then I went into that. Somebody mentioned Fibonacci, and they say Fibonacci on Fibonacci and Fibonacci. I tried that. I tried Wyckoff. Wyckoff was the strategy I learned. I mean, it didn't take me 3 hours to know that this strategy, I wasn't going to learn it. So many confusing things in Wyckoff. I just threw it away. I tried moving averages. It was a mess at a point in time. And I just wish I stuck to CSA, which was my very first profitable strategy. I wish I developed other things around the CSA that would have made me profitable. But I just discovered that nobody told me that I was going to come in contact with numerous strategies, and that there is some knowledge, once you imbibe them, it practically distorts whatever you have known before. As at present, whatever I trade, if it doesn't have a resemblance to other blocks, I'm not interested, right? No matter what happens, I still have to link it up with other block, because other block was the second strategy that I found some form of consistency with, and everything I learn, if I can't relate it to an order block, then I can't apply it. It has no place in of course, apart from trading robots, right? But trading discretionary, manually, it has to have some form of order block in it, else it doesn't make any sense. So that has been the story on strategies. I spent a lot of money buying programs, buying indicators. You know very well, there was a particular time I was a member of almost 25 signal groups, and I got an EA that could pick, once they post the trade in the signal group, I had an EA, it would go to Telegram, pick these trades and apply it on MT4. I sought for knowledge that well, to see that there was an indicator, there was a software that could pick trades, even if they were posted as pictures or they were written in words or letters or numbers, it will interpret them and trade them for you on MT4. That was when I knew that most of the signal groups that churn out results daily, yes, the back end P&L would have closed $200, but the running trade at the other side is negative $5,000. And they'll give you a trade of 100 pips stop loss. Then they have TPs of 30 pips, TPs of 50. They'll have TP for TP1 20 pips, TP2 50 pips, TP3 100 pips. So when they hit TP1, they say TP1 hit 20 pips, TP2 hit 50 pips. But for me to be able to hit TP1, 2, 3, it means I have to enter 3 entries, each having a stop loss of 100 pips. That's 300 pips. So when I hit TP1 for 20 pips, I'm happy. I hit TP2 for 50 pips, I'm happy. In fact, I could hit the whole TP3, no problem. If I lose one trade, I'm back to negative. Right? And some of them will say, once you hit TP2, break even. Then they later on come and tell you that TP3 has been hit. I hit TP2, I broke even. Price went back to entry before going to TP3, and they will announce TP3 hit. So it was a mess. I just discovered that the Forex industry is full of lies and so many deceits. It was difficult to get somebody that was going to tell me the truth, really.
That's a very, very good point you just mentioned there. The Forex market, especially due to the unregulated nature of the markets, especially then you now come to Nigeria where almost anything goes. We had people who just come and spin stories and say, oh, what have you, and all that. Now, another good point I think you really mentioned was the fact that you mentioned you were in a webinar. I like the term you used. You said you were unfortunate to be in that webinar. Seriously, there are some things that I look back on my trading journey and some knowledge I acquired, and I almost want to use the same term. I was unfortunate to acquire that knowledge, because what many traders don't realize, like you mentioned, that every new thing you learn has a way of distorting whatsoever thing has been on ground. You just simply never remain the same. So I also encourage traders, instead of moving from strategy to strategy, find something that works for you, and then every other thing, build it around it. So no matter what anybody says, my strategy is always just going to be one thing, one way of identifying the trend, and then I'm using my RSI and my pivot levels to find my premium and discount levels. Stop. Let every other person want to say whatever you want to say. I'm not really interested. Indicators don't work, don't good for you, and all that. And for you mentioned it, other blocks. Now, what was we after a while? I'm sure part of the whole essence of starting the fostering program was to kind of mitigate the gap that we are seeing in the market. So much deceit, so much lies. You can do 1 million. You can start trading today overnight to buy a yacht, or you see guys standing beside Lamborghinis on Instagram and all those funny things that we'll see. So, what would be your take on a new trader that sincerely honest wants to learn? What would be your counsel to the person? How does he go about acquiring knowledge without going through all these ups and downs that you just described?
Well, that's a tough one. It's a tough one because sometimes the up and down are necessary. I'm talking about up and down in terms of strategy. They are necessary because there is no one cap fits all when it comes to trading strategy. Prior to 2 years ago, I would have said, look for a mentor that is profitable and copy that person. But now I know a little bit better that your mentor's psychology, your mentor's mental makeup might not be exactly like yours. If you ask a melancholy who is profitable trading to coach a choleric that would always ask you why, then it becomes the choleric will struggle to become profitable with such a strategy. A melancholy, you tell the melancholy, once you see a red arrow, buy. He may not ask you why. A choleric wants to know, why was it a red arrow there and not a yellow arrow? And by the time he starts asking questions, he can't own that strategy. So yes, if you're a new person, you don't have to compare yourself with anybody. You need to understand that you might be twins, A and B, Caleb and Abel, and yet your temperaments might be different. And that simply means that you might get into sync with your strategies at different times. So for a new trader, you need to actually be sincere with yourself in the sense that you pick one strategy that you've been taught or you feel you like, stay with it long enough and not deviate just because you have two back-to-back losses. Maybe at this point in time, I should quickly read out some of the things I wrote about what they didn't tell us before we got into trading.
All right.
Nobody told us that trading was a difficult way to make easy money. What we're told was that trading will change your life like yesterday. Nobody told us it was a difficult way. Nobody told me that trading was going to test my greed, my patience, my willpower, my endurance, and my ability to fight depression and negative energy. Nobody mentioned depression when it came to trading.
I am telling you.
Nobody mentioned sleepless nights when it came to trading. Nobody mentioned the fact that greed was going to come in. I don't care how filled you are with the Holy Spirit. Nobody mentioned that greed was going to come in. Like one very, very renowned trader said, he said entry was not his problem. Exit was his problem. And this is somebody who's been trading for well over 30 years. He knew precisely when to get into a trade. He couldn't get himself to get out of a trade. And today, after over 35 years, the man is still a scalper, a profitable scalper for that matter. Nobody told me that I could be wrong and still make money in the market. So when I started out, I would press buy and sell for absolutely no reason beyond my guts, and it would turn blue. Nobody told me that I could be wrong and still make money, and that not doing anything to sieve out the wrong trading habits was going to reinforce those wrong trading habits, and thus lengthen the time it would take me to become consistently profitable. Nobody told me that knowing a strategy was different from applying the strategy. Nobody told me that this wasn't the same thing as cramming how to label a frog in biology exams and just dropping it out and getting an A1 in biology. That there was a
Yeah.
difference between knowing the strategy, the way we do in Africa. We love knowledge, we respect certificates. We've been trained for more than 20 years of our learning career in learning path in school to read and just regurgitate everything we've been taught. Nobody told me that that was a different thing I was going to meet trading. Nobody told me that there was nothing like a holy grail. In fact, there was a time in my life, in my trading career, I was looking for an indicator that could predict the future. And I spent thousands of dollars buying indicators that seemed to look like they could tell me the future. I spent time studying Ichimoku because Ichimoku had one part of its indicator that will tell you seemingly what the future will do. And I sat in front of my
Oh
screen
my
and
God.
saw that thing change several times. After predicting a buy, it predicts a sell. You know, nobody told me that I needed to be very, 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 I used 3 times, disciplined to be consistent, and that I couldn't live anyhow at my own terms, anyhow, and be profitable. Nobody told me that. Nobody told me that what I see on the internet is traders posting their winning trades and not the losing ones. Until I met a trader who had a large following in the internet, and as we got close, he told me what he was doing. Whenever he takes a trade, he's going to open buy in one MT4 and sell in one MT4. Anyone that goes into blue, he posts it. So he's always having blue on his Facebook page. That's what this market does to some people. Nobody told me. Nobody told me that I
Wow.
should have a solid source of income before going full time. Nobody told me that it isn't really a life of freedom for many traders, and I need to work out I need to put in a lot of work to bring out the freedom. What we're told is that you get into trading, you make money, and you are free, you control your life. But for several months and the early part of the years, I was a slave to my PC. In fact, I was a slave to my phone. I was always glued to my phone. The freedom I craved for, I didn't really have it because nobody told me how to go about having it. And so now, anything I'm trying to do, I try to look for a way to automate it. Because what was the main reason why many of us came into trading? It was to be free, not to be enslaved to the charts. It was to be free, actually. It was to make money and take care of our family, go on vacations, and have fun. And how can you do that if you are stuck to your screen 24/7? Nobody told me that it is a skill I could transfer to the next generation. Nobody told me that. It was all about me. Nobody told me that it was a lonely life and that having others trade with you could be dangerous to your psychology and performance. Nobody told me that, it's going to be difficult to find a trader that will think the way I do and therefore can apply the same strategy. For most traders I've come in contact with, they may imbibe part of what I do, but they are deeply rooted in another part, in another system, and they all just pick a little from me and apply it to their system, and I'm forced to pick a little from them and apply it to their system. So even if I say let's come online every morning 8 o'clock and trade, we end up losing, because when I'm seeing a buy, they see a sell, and then we can't perform. Then last thing nobody told me was that I needed a fat account to make a living out of trading, and that 5% profit on 1K is not the same thing as 5% profit on $1,000. This was what made me to gravitate towards prop trading firm, I practically stopped trading my personal account, except for maybe crypto and some stocks, and I ventured into prop trading. Because if I'm trading my personal account of, let's say, $10,000, for me to make an income that will justify the energy and the risk I took on my future, I need to make like 20%. And I make bold to say it here. And I know it's going to be on YouTube, that an average amount a consistent trader should make per month is far less than 10%. It's around 5 and maybe 7%.
True.
Some months you could stumble into 25%, 20%, but it isn't going to be something you do every single month. The market will never give you that opportunity. This week, for instance, if you trade a high probability, low risk strategy where Asia high has to be taken for you to take a sell, I practically had no high impact, high probability, low risk trade. I had one of the least setups for this week. So it simply means I couldn't have traded, as actively as I would want to this week, and it might just affect my month end, result. And there's nothing I can do about it except I want to jump ship and start trading another strategy. And we all know what will happen. So anybody thinking of trading full time and is not thinking of using proprietary firms to help themselves make big profits, right, big income, then you'll most likely be setting up yourself for failure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bishop. I should be rounding up now.
Yep.
You made mention of that. I can't forget that experience when the four of us got together to trade that 100K account then. And
Yeah.
I remember there will be days when, as a swing trader, I open a trade, and some other guys who were scalpers will go and close my trade because they, because they couldn't understand it. To them, they were seeing a sell, I was seeing a long term buy, they were seeing a short term sell. So it was just causing a whole lot of confusion. So, and it was something I had to discuss with one of the guys I met this morning. I said, see, sometimes you have to just learn to tune out every other thing as noise and learn to really focus on your trading. Thank you so much, Bishop. Someone just one message, one question from someone, and they will call it a wrap. Someone asked, how long can a trader trade a strategy before discarding it when he has losing months? How long can a trader trade a strategy before discarding it when he has losing months? Can you quickly respond before we continue?
Yeah, there are basically two things here. But first, I want to rephrase the question. Rather than say how long, I want to say how many times. You could trade this if you have a strategy that gives you, like the prop has a strategy, the Hikineshi weekly strategy that could give you 8 setups in a year for a particular trade. If I say 2 months, you might just have one setup in 2 months, and would you discard it simply because you took one trade? So it's not so much as to the duration in time. Is more of the sample size the setup or the strategy is going to give you. So if you're trading a strategy, if we use Mark Douglas as Mark Douglas's theory, you should have traded that strategy for 25 trade samples, right? So over 25 trade samples, you get to have maybe slightly lower than a fair idea of what the strategy could do. And you might not need to discard it completely. It might just mean that you need to tweak it. But having losing months, I posted a video. A friend of mine sent a video to me, and I posted it to the fostering class. A trader trading $200,000 account, he made a total for FTMO. he made a total withdrawal of 25,000 over the last 2 months, and he lost the account the third month. Now he's forced to go start the challenge again. And from the comments underneath the video, I gathered that he recently just passed $100,000 challenge again, and he will soon be trading live. So of course he attributed the failure to family matters and the likes, right? So, but he didn't discard the strategy. He just sought out for what was wrong and put himself together, and the strategy continued to work. So before you can say a strategy isn't working, you must have tried it. You must have given it, a sizable sample size to prove itself to you. Now, a strategy may work, but may not suit you. For instance, if you live in the United States, for instance, and you're trading a strategy that needs you to be up the last 2 hours of Asia, that will mean you have to live a lifestyle of waking up in the middle of the night going forward. How would your health take that? Would you be able to do that, still maintain your employment and trade at the same time? So the strategy works fine, but it might not suit you if you live in West Africa, where I live, and you have a strategy that needs you waking up during Asia. And I think Prof made mention of one of the strategies we traded one time, the MMT, and it needed us to be up when Australia or New Zealand were having news events. Now, we would wake up, make some money from that strategy, pay over 60% of the money we made back to brokers as commission and spread, then now not be able to trade London because we are fatigued. So the strategy worked, but it wasn't just applicable for our type of person, right? So you need to look for a lot of things. Last thing I want to say is that you need to ensure also that you are not looking for a strategy that will make you lazy. If laziness is your problem, even if you get a strategy sent to you straight on your phone, you still won't take it. Laziness is a cause when it comes to traders. You need to be sure that you're not lazy, right? So if your strategy needs you to take 2 entries, or if your strategy needs you to go and check position size calculator and then get the appropriate lot size, laziness will tell you that that is too much to do. You will arbitrarily place any lot size, and that account, you will lose that account eventually, right? So it takes a lot of discipline. But I believe in subsequent broadcasts we'll handle this thing, so don't make this to be too long.
Yes. So I'll just close with this. Bishop mentioned discipline. Successful traders are, I won't want to use the word, they are the most disciplined people, but they are among the most disciplined people you will find anywhere. You have to be disciplined with your trading. You have to be disciplined in how you live. All right. So it's not just discipline in only trading. You have to be disciplined in how you live your life in total, because everything matters to you as a trader. If you are fatigued, you don't perform well. So you have to watch out the hours you sleep. You have to watch out things like what you eat, because all those things probably in other webinars will be discussing more and more about the lifestyle of a trader. That recently I had to subscribe to an app, get some devices and all those things to help me to monitor my health better and all those things. So in subsequent webinars, we'll discuss all this. So thank you so much, Bishop, once again for having given us this time to take us through your journey trading, and of course for putting together the whole SimplyPips trading house and the academy and everything. I'm sure that with God's grace, we'll still be able to achieve our target of reaching out to about 100,000 families and helping them to become financially independent. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll continue this same time again next week. Trust you will join us. And of course, go to our YouTube page, subscribe, like this video, share it to your friends that you know they are interested in trading, and we'll meet you on the other side.